When most people think about decluttering, they think about their closets, their garages, maybe that junk drawer in the kitchen. What I see every week is something far more stressful than a messy garage. It's a messy financial life. Multiple accounts scattered across old employers, investment accounts they've forgotten about, no clear income plan, no clarity on fees, risks, or what actually is working for them. And the truth is, financial clutter is one of the biggest hidden threats to a confident retirement. Today on Financial Fast Track with Todd Long.
You are moments away from finally getting the inside track on finance.
You've saved, you've done all the preparation, but when it's time to execute, you have to shift from preparing to performing.
This is the Financial Fast Track with Todd Long.
What we're going to do is take the guesswork out of financial planning for you.
Making more momentum with your money.
Time to declutter. Wait, it's almost springtime. Hey, welcome on into the show, Financial Fast Track with Todd Long. Jackie Selby on this side of things. Todd Long of Long Financial Services. We're going to talk about decluttering and simplifying today. Not just our financial life, but maybe we can even draw some parallels to our home. Because people who have a decluttered home have a more efficient home.
That's true.
They've proven this over the years. Over the years, huh?
Absolutely.
How are you, Todd?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Good. Recovering.
You're recovering?
I had the crud, but it lingers.
It still lingers? It's been like
bit.
Almost 3 weeks, hasn't it?
I know. I still have a little.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like getting sick and having to, be not 100%.
Yes. I know. It's no fun.
No.
It really isn't.
It minimizes your workouts. It minimizes, your enjoyment of drinking or whatever you're doing. My spirits.
Oh, gosh. Well, this is probably why you don't get sick. You got enough whiskey going around in your
I know. You go to distilleries, they tell you, well, if you got a little sickness, you just take some of that, a shot of whiskey and you're good to go. And they're not lying.
I don't think they're lying either. I really don't. I remember when we were little kids, if we had a croup like this, my mother used to call it croup, they'd come in with a little half teaspoon of whiskey to, put in your mouth and to help your cough.
Yeah. It does work.
Okay. What does financial clutter look like?
So it actually happens when your financial life becomes like a patchwork of disconnected decisions. For instance, old 401ks from multiple employers, overlapping investments that unknowingly double your risk, accounts with no defined purpose, insurance products. You can't even remember why you bought them in the first place. And a retirement plan that only exists in your head. The danger isn't just disorganization; it's actually inefficiency. When money sits in different places with no unified strategy, you're often duplicating risk, missing opportunities, and actually paying unnecessary fees and taxes. So I actually once talked to a couple who had 12 different accounts between them, not because they were wealthy and have all this money, but because they changed jobs all the time. And until we actually consolidated and aligned everything with their income plan, they had no idea what they actually owned or how it all worked together.
When you said patchwork, Todd, I was thinking of there was a lady that lived across the breezeway from me for a while, and she was retired, and she made quilts.
Yep.
Okay, she was a quilt maker.
Right. Yep.
And you go into her house and there are millions of bolts of fabric everywhere. Now, it makes for good sound padding, from not hearing any traffic or wind or anything in there. But she had little patches that she cut out and, she has them all filed in her mind and in these filing bins and all that stuff. But man, I don't think I couldn't handle that kind of stuff.
No, yeah, it is. Also, I think about it this way as well. You have a closet. It's likely filled with clothes. Even my closet is filled with clothes, suits, or whatever it is. And some of those suits and clothes were from, I'm just being completely transparent. I got stuff from the 90s in my closet right now. Do I need to have that in my closet? Probably not, right? Or consider like, what's his name? MC Hammer. When that was about out in the 80s and late 80s, 90s, they had the parachute pants and whatnot, too legit to quit and all that kind of jazz. Everybody went out and bought those parachute pants, right?
You included?
I did not, actually. I did not buy those. But I bet you a lot of people probably have those parachute pants either in a drawer or an old closet somewhere. That's clutter. That's that patchwork for that quilt. You don't want that kind of stuff right now.
Wow, that is so true. We give energy to whatever is in our home or our office or whatever that, we hold the energy for that. Even if it's, the coworkers, I had a coworker whose dad just passed away, and you hold that space in your heart for that person, till they get better and you see them every day. How are you doing and all that stuff. Gosh, imagine how all these weird things floating around in your financial life
absolutely
are draining you.
And being inefficient in taxes, inefficient we'll get to this in a second, but no, it's a good point to bring up now, is that if some of these accounts that you've had that you may have some sort of space for, that I bought my first account or my first investment account, my first IRA, whatever it is, 25 years ago, that has no bearing on what your finances is or what your financial plan is right now, then that's a cluttered account. It's not to say it's a bad account. We just got to move that account in a prioritized bucket. We'll get to the buckets in a second.
Okay.
So it actually works for you. And everybody's heard, make your money work for you, right? Mm-hmm. What does that actually mean? Nobody really knows what that means. I mean, E.F. Hutton, whoever was back in the day, probably said it. I think they're out of business, but you see what I'm saying? Somebody said it back, some sort of marketing. Yeah. E.F. Hutton.
Everybody listens.
Everybody listens, right? Uh-huh. But you have to take these accounts and make them actually work for you. And this is something that we actually do here at Long Financial Services, is actually make sure we look at your snapshot, find out what your accounts are, what kind of tax brackets what kind of tax association they are. And then we determine how can we make these accounts work for this retirement plan, which in essence works for you.
Now, I like where this is going. 888-548-0409. Not that I'm the expert. You're the expert on the retirement planning, but this just makes so much sense to me. 888-548-0409. Hope it makes sense to you listening to the radio today. Call Todd Long of Long Financial Services, or you can check out our landing page. And I say ours because all of these radio broadcasts are posted there, and that's financialfasttrackradio.com. All right, Todd. I guess we kind of covered why do so many people end up with a cluttered financial picture.
That is true. And honestly, I think a lot of people don't really have visibility, so they may not know that they're in a cluttered spot, right? So one of the first things we do before we simplify anything is provide that visibility.
Oh.
You can't consider this. You can't really declutter a room or a garage with the lights out. You got to know where everything's at, right?
Yes.
You're gonna be grass amidst straws, whatever it may be, and try to clean some stuff up. That's not how you actually clean anything. The first step I take clients through is actually a complete inventory of their accounts. We gather every account, every policy, every source of fees, every income projection, everything. That's every retirement account, taxable account, insurance policies, pension plans, Social Security estimates, any source of if you have an idea or some sort of concept of the fees and charges, we collect all that. And you'd be shocked at how many people don't know their actual risk exposure. They don't know what they're paying in fees, and they can't explain why a certain investment were chosen, right? Somebody told them, a long time ago. I use these an example all the time. My barber told me about this, and so I did this. Or my gardener, or my guy who does my yard that said this, and so I did that. Huh? What? That making sense. But once everything is mapped out in one place, patterns start to emerge. Overlapping mutual funds, outdated insurance products, idle cash positions, portfolios that don't match the client's goals. All that is starting to get uncovered when you turn the lights on. You have that visibility in what your financial or your accounts are looking at.
That makes a lot of sense to me. If you have a workshop, my dad had a workshop.
Mine did, yeah, too. Still does.
Oh, only he went in,
He was completely cluttered, I'm sure.
Well, my dad was in World War II, so he had like a little box for everything.
Oh, okay.
But I know that if he went in there with no lights on, he could find anything.
Yeah. Honestly,
I do not have this skill.
Yeah. I will admit, again, being a nerd that I am, we've talked about that last week.
Oh, yeah.
I can walk around my house without any lights on, pitch dark, and know exactly where everything's at. I know where stuff is. I can go find my water bottles in the middle of the night. I can do that because it's muscle memory, basically. That's what that is. I'm kind of like your father in that way. I don't have, that's a lie. I have all my shoes in boxes, so I can't
Do you
say.
keep your shoes in boxes?
I do plastic boxes, yeah. Keeps them fresher longer.
Oh, that's interesting. One of my bosses, he keeps his shoes in the original box.
You can. I used to do that too, but what I found, and this is just really nerd stuff on my end, I found that you put them in a plastic box, it kind of keeps the air out, and so it doesn't
Degrade them.
degrade your shoe.
The plastic
So,
and the rubber.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, this is a hypothesis. That's what I feel. That's what I do. The boxes didn't cost that much money, so yeah, I've been doing it for years.
That is so cool. Well, you're an organized fellow.
I try to be. But what I will say, if you're listening right now and you're thinking to yourself, if something happened to me today, no one would know where everything is, or I have too many accounts and no clear plan on how they actually fit together, this is the opportunity to give me a call. For the first 10 callers today, my team and I will actually go through a retirement simplicity review. We're going to map out every account you own into one clean, easy to understand structure, identify unnecessary fees, risks, and overlap inside your portfolio, simplify and consolidate accounts, the safety, the tax efficiency, et cetera, build a clear retirement income framework so every dollar has a purpose, and prepare for 2026. The tax changes are here with a personalized guide to help you out. Receive a one-page retirement simplicity summary that becomes your roadmap. This review isn't a sales pitch. It's a clarity session designed to help you make informed decisions with confidence. So Jackie, tell the listeners how to get in contact with us.
Be happy to. You can use this number we have set up specifically for the radio show, 888-548-0409, 888-548-0409, or the landing page I mentioned online, financialfasttrackradio.com. Now, we're going to come right back and talk about more solutions for our clutter, financial clutter, that is.
Tired of financial jargon that leaves you feeling confused? At Long Financial Services, Todd Long offers clear, straightforward advice about your retirement. Understand your strategies, regain control, and get peace of mind knowing exactly where you stand. Call 888-548-0409. Again, that's 888-548-0409.
We're talking about your financial clutter and how to know if you have any, and all of the benefits to getting rid of that clutter for your retirement. Yes, this is a retirement and financial program. It's called Financial Fast Track with Todd Long. I'm Jackie Selby. You make me think, Todd, you really do. And I think I'm kind of the average American and free retiree. I'm in that age group, right? And so I think about the things that you talk about. And since we're talking about consolidation, what could go wrong for a pre-retiree or retiree if consolidation isn't done correctly with all of these patchwork accounts and stuff?
Right. So consolidation really isn't just convenient, it's strategic. So one of the first things is if you're not consolidated, you don't really have a strategic plan. For many retirees, 2 to 4 well-structured accounts can accomplish more than 8, 10, 9, 12 accounts scattered across the ecosphere, right? That have no connection to each other whatsoever. Here's what consolidation technically does for you. It reduces paperwork and mental load. It simplifies statements and record keeping. It lowers the number of decisions you need to make. It aligns investments with income planning, reduces overlap in risk, potentially lowers fees and inefficiencies. So consolidation needs to be done correctly, because if you have to protect tax status during a rollover, one wrong move can actually trigger taxes and penalties. So I often compare it to reorganizing a garage.
Right.
Everything should have a purpose and a place. Tools, we'll go with tools.
Right.
Outdoor gear is going to go with outdoor gear. Your financial account should actually be, grouped in the same way, not scattered across, based on job history or based on what the barber told you, or based
Right.
on, what your uncle told you.
Yes. This is really interesting to me because sometimes people in the garage, they put piles of things like this is what we use most often. It's summertime, so here's the cooler.
Right.
Right? And here's the bicycles and like that. Now, that's not what I was taught by my pop.
Right.
He was like you said, you put the bicycles where the bicycles go. You put the air pump where the air pump goes. You put the tools where the tools go. And the tools are very specific where they go.
Exactly.
So maybe we just get off, off track because we didn't, maybe not everybody had a father who was in World War II. I don't know.
No. That's a good statement. I think a lot of people probably don't really know how to organize in general.
In general, right. I mean,
right?
That stuff that's in the far part of the garage, that stuff's got dust on it. We're not even using that.
Right. But I guess, and this is another thing too. People, I'm not going to say this. This is a broad statement, but people like to hoard stuff.
They
right?
kind of do, yeah.
Yeah, you may go buy something. Let's talk about that garage analysis for a hot second. You may,
okay.
The section that actually is covered in dust. There's probably something in that you purchased at some point in time that you needed, that you want, that you probably can still continue to use, but because it's not in the right spot,
right,
you don't see it. And then guess what's going to happen? You're going to go out to Amazon. You're going to buy another one. Now you got 3 sitting there because you didn't actually declutter your stuff. And that's exactly what happens in financial services.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. You buy this or you get this annuity. Okay, great. Because you read it on the internet. Somebody told you about it, et cetera. You purchased it. Has no impact or no coordination with your retirement plan. So now it's sitting there for 10 years. Now you know what? I need to have some sort of income source because I read something else or read a magazine, blah, blah. You go out and buy another one. Now you have 2.
Yep.
But they're not coordinated. They're not in your retirement plan. They're not doing what it needs to be done to help you get income that's consistent, that's tax efficient, reduce, RMDs, doesn't have a job. And so that's what happens when you don't have some organization or some sort of plan for these kinds of purchases.
Very nice. Todd's number again, 888-548-0409, 888-548-0409. I used to tell my husband, go and shop in your own closet. We're not going to Dillard's
right.
or Belk or anywhere else. Go shopping in your own closet. I know you have a blue sport coat with gold buttons, to
right.
go to his parents' country club or whatever.
Right.
It's too small. We don't know. Go try it on.
Go try it on. Right. And if you try it on, hey, if it doesn't fit, I tell you what, let's take to a tailor and I promise you they can get that fixed. And this is using that same analogy. You have this 401k, you have this, Roth IRA. Well, don't go do another one. How about we tweak what you have to make it better for you? We talked about the long-term care, a couple of weeks back or whatever it was. We can take those, already spent money. It's not net new money. Remember that statement? It's not net new money.
Right.
We can turn these things into products or services that actually benefits you right now. Yeah. Long-term care, stuff or whatever it may be, that you don't have to go out and buy new stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm on my high horse. Let me be quiet.
No, and there's no judgment implied. If this is, but people do get confused by clutter. Right. I do. I had a clutter expert come help me a couple of years ago because I had one of those closet companies, come in and turn the old closet, it was a historic home, into a modern closet.
Right.
But first we had to arrange the stuff. What's going to go in the new drawers?
Yeah.
What's going to go into the new slide operation thing with the, your tops go and all that stuff. So this kind of moves us into our 3-pillar structure.
Right. Yeah. So once clutter is actually removed out of the whole equation, we actually design a structure around 3 core pillars.
Okay.
Liquidity, income, and growth.
All right.
Each account has a job. No more guessing, no more wondering, no more hoping things line up. So in liquidity, it's money for emergencies and short-term needs. For income, it's reliable or guaranteed income sources that cover essential expenses like home, job, health insurance, et cetera. Those are the essentials. And then there's growth, which is long-term investments designed to outpace inflation over the next 20, 30 years. So those are the 3 buckets that we kind of structure all of these different accounts into, and we start to identify gaps that you don't have. Well, I don't have liquidity, or I don't have some sort of income source.
Okay.
That helps us try to determine what's needed prioritizing.
I like this idea. So if we did have a whole bunch of ghost 401ks, that have been hanging out there for the time I worked in this state and that state and the other state, you can form those all into one account and maybe that could pay me an income?
Oh, absolutely. That, or it also could, we want to identify those and make sure that we uncover those.
Okay.
Because those could be ticking time bombs for like RMD situations. Because again, that's all qualified money, right? And you haven't paid taxes on it yet. And at 73, guess what's going to happen? Uncle Sam's going to knock on your door. It's like, okay, you got all this money. And if you have multiple 401ks, that means there's multiple RMDs coming out every single year. Every single 401k has its own RMD connection.
And that's taxable.
That's taxable,
All
right? So the thing about it is you got to start to consolidate all those things down. Let's get it into one traditional IRA, and that way you have one RMD you got to worry about. Less stress, less headaches, less decision fatigue that people have to go through.
That's really interesting. I like all of this stuff because putting it all together, but we have to identify it. 888-548-0409. 888-548-0409, so you can call Todd Long and get on his schedule. All right, so liquidity, we need some liquidity, we need income, and we need growth structure. Mm-hmm. Is it just that easy to get some growth out of some of this clutter?
Yeah, absolutely, because more than likely, most people probably have most of their accounts in some sort of growth market, period. I mean, they're still in the market, they're still doing some stuff. And I talked to a gentleman just yesterday, and he's got money, he's probably got about a third of his assets currently. Actually, I'm wrong. 3/4 of his assets in the market. He's 67. It should not be that way. But what I told him, I'm not going to take all this money out of the market. You want some play money out there. You want to hit some of that growth or whatever. That's what you want to do. Great. But you also need to have a preservation bucket, which means you got to start to move that money out and put it into an account that doesn't lose when the market loses. And so growth has its necessary portion in a portfolio, and it's important, and it's always going to be there.
Okay, good. Oh, this is going along swimmingly. I like our declutter session so far, Todd.
That's good. Now, if you're like Jackie and you like to talk about decluttering, what you want to do is actually be one of the first 10 callers to get one of these retirement simplicity reviews. We're going to map every account you own into one clean, easy to understand structure, identify unnecessary risks and unnecessary fees, find overlaps inside your portfolio, get all that mapped out. We're going to simplify and consolidate all your accounts safely and tax efficiently. We're going to build a clear retirement income framework so every dollar has a purpose, and that's important. Every account you technically have has to have a purpose in your retirement plan. We're going to prepare for the 2026 tax changes that are here now with a personalized guide for you. You're going to receive a one-page retirement simplicity summary that becomes your roadmap for everything you technically do. This, again, the review is not a sales pitch. It's clarity. It's a clarity session designed to help you make informed decisions with confidence. So, Jackie, tell the listeners how to get one of these spots.
Grab that spot with Todd Long. There's no cost, no obligation. Who offers that? You know, right? It's there's no trickery involved here. 888-548-0409. 888-548-0409. Let's get your financial decluttering process started. But you have to start. You can't finish until you pick up the phone. 888-548-0409. Long Financial Services bringing you this show, Financial Fast Track with Todd Long. Be right back.
Feeling like just another number with your advisor? At Long Financial Services, you're always valued personally. Todd Long knows your retirement isn't about numbers on a page. It's about income you can depend on, security you can trust, and advice tailored specifically to you. Take the first step toward a meaningful conversation. Call 888-548-0409. Proudly serving Oklahoma. Again, that's 888-548-0409.
Let's put on our defensive uniform, if you will, and let's defend against 2026 and what's coming. Do we have any changes, strategies? This is Financial Fast Track with Todd Long. And Todd, what plans can we come up with to battle? We're going to have tax changes, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, the tax changes happened already. So you'll feel the impact in 2027. So retirees with complex financial structures, they're going to struggle. Higher brackets, lower deductions, reduced estate limits, restricted Roth conversion windows, all increase the cost of complexity. Simple, well-structured plans allow retirees to pivot easily, avoid bracket creep, reduce taxes, preserve assets, and maintain Medicare efficiency. So it's important to start to look at your map, your tax map. If you don't have one, I'll create one for you to understand exactly where you're located at, where your finances are at, and how we can actually minimize any kind of complex situations to keep you agile.
I want to remain agile, but we got to do some stretching if that's the case. Warm up, stretch, et cetera, et cetera. Right? What if we don't? It's just going to snap if you're not ready.
Yeah, that's what I did on Monday. I hurt myself.
You did?
Weights. Yeah, I'll lifting. Oh, I'm already recovered, but it was a shock to the system that I didn't stretch, but I was trying to lift, do some squats.
Warm up, stretch, lift.
Didn't do any of the above. I went straight to it. Actually, I binged first, and then I tried to do some squatting afterwards, and then I wasn't prepared.
Oh, gosh. All right, Todd, thank you so much for that quick explanation on that point. 888-548-0409 for Todd. 888-548-0409. So tell me about our 2026 tax game plan.
Good. I will tell you, Jackie.
You good, Jackie.
Yeah, you do good, Jackie.
Oh, golly.
The framework I technically use in 2026 is really a tax plan that it's very simple. Build your retirement tax map, first thing. Simplify and centralize income streams. That's the second. Evaluate Roth conversions before the window closes. That's the third thing. Manage RMD exposures early. Got to identify them, get them out of the way, etc. That's the fourth. Reduce account clutter. We talked about that in the old show. There's accounts that aren't doing anything, don't know what they're doing, why they're there, etc. Let's move them to accounts that actually have a purpose. You know what that account's about, and then align estate and tax plans. So that's the six. The six points in this whole game plan. Seeing the roadmap gives retirees a confidence instead of confusion or not understanding or any of those kinds of things. That's what this roadmap's designed to do.
Good. I want to get a roadmap. I want to work with Todd Long. Good. Here's how to do it. Well, do you have any closing comments on this segment, Todd?
No.
That's okay. I just wanted to let you know. Otherwise, I'm going to give your phone number and we'll close it out. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. 888-548-0409. 888-548-0409. And the show is Financial Fast Track with Todd Long. All you have to do is use this phone number to reach out to him. It's no cost, no obligation. And this will just book you into his calendar, okay? No, extra questions or anything like that. 888-548-0409. No pressure, of course.
Retirement means a new phase of life, and managing risk is crucial. At Long Financial Services, Todd Long and his team build comprehensive strategies designed to minimize risk, generate reliable income, and help you stay proactive through every market condition. Discover what your retirement plan could look like. Call 888-548-0409. Again, that's 888-548-0409.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Financial Fast Track Radio is the landing page, our little page on the internet, so you can get to know Todd Long. The show is Financial Fast Track with Todd Long on the radio each and every week to give you some great information, what we consider great information, to help you get to and through retirement. For crying out loud, everybody has to retire. I'm Jackie Selby, and here's Todd Long, who is kind of a computer nerd. Did you grow up with one of those little computers? Was it an Apple or was it on...
So no. I had a Commodore 64.
Commodore 64.
Yeah, but I didn't have the Apple II, but one of my teachers I think I got it almost exactly in time. No, I got my Commodore 64 first, but then Apple had the Apple I and Apple II back then, and this was the one that had color versus the monochrome. And so I think it was an Apple II, and he had it in I forgot his name. I almost had his name too. I remember the classroom and everything, but he had an Apple II computer that I knew how to code and do all the different stuff. And
oh, wow.
So I helped him do some things in class because of it. But yeah, I had a Commodore 64 primarily, but Yeah, that was my day today.
You're a tech nerd and a computer nerd from day one, from the get-go, as they like to say. So do you help your clients apply all the things that we're talking about on the show today as far as like automation and structure to declutter our financial lives?
Absolutely. I do. As you mentioned, I do a lot of technology in my practice, and that kind of bleeds into what I do for my clients, because there's what's called decision fatigue. Most retirees that I talk about or talk to, they're probably making 30 to 40 decisions per year. That is crazy. You don't have to do that at all. You shouldn't have to do that in retirement. Retirees don't want to constantly manage moving parts. At least they shouldn't want to manage all those moving parts.
No.
That's the markets, the taxes, the RMDs, the allocations, the withdrawals, IRMA, Medicare. All those are decisions you have to make consistently. Automation becomes a huge advantage. And this is something that I offer to my clients. Okay. Automatic income distributions, automatic rebalancing, automatic RMD planning, automatic tax withholdings, automated contributions for pre-retirees. Automation reduces the emotional burden and replace it with structure and consistency. Because guess what? Once I program things correctly, it won't break. I've not had anything break unless some virus gets into my code and messes it up. Then I got to debug it and fix it. But then guess what? It's back to a stable point to where it'll continue to do everything I tell it to do all the time, right? And it'll understand the market, understand the different things, understand the strategy we actually have. Each individual client has each individual strategy. And guess what? I feed this into my platform, and it starts to automate these things for them. So absolutely, I do this for my clients whenever they get to this point.
So there are essential accounts versus clutter accounts? Is that true?
Yeah. What we try to do when we start to do the simplicity type plays, the first step is actually making a distinction most people really has never made in their accounts. What's essential versus what's clutter. Essential accounts are the ones that actually directly support your retirement strategy. That's your income accounts, your growth accounts, your liquidity accounts. Clutter accounts include all the old employer plans, small leftover accounts, outdated investments, forgotten insurance products, and accounts without a defined purpose. Thinking back to that closet analogy I gave you earlier, you bought some clothes back in I'm going to be more fashionable. You bought some clothes back in 2000, 2005.
Yeah.
Guess what? Or remember the Mech jeans and True Religion jeans?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. They're not in fashion anymore. So if you have them in your closet, that's clutter, right?
It is.
That's what you got to start to think about. What's in my financial portfolio? What's in my closet that I've bought, purchased, et cetera, 25 years ago, 15 years ago, et cetera? It's outdated. Get rid of it. I had one client that I just recently met, as a matter of fact, had 8 accounts, roughly about $1.2 million in assets. After reviewing them, we discovered that 3 accounts held the most, almost all of the strategic value in his portfolio, while all the other 5 was just noise. So we had to adjust that.
Really? Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So the I don't know. We're talking about the clutter, then the rearranging of these things.
Yeah.
So there's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Of what is the most important. How does the hierarchy change the way we view the money?
Well, good. That's a good question. We used what's called a hierarchy of accounts when we start to prioritize or structure accounts and determine or define what's real or what's needed, necessary, and what's versus clutter. Like the first one is income producing accounts. The second is tax advantage long-term growth accounts. The third in the hierarchy is liquidity accounts. The fourth is taxable investment accounts. And then fifth is legacy or secondary accounts. And 6 is the irrelevant or duplicate accounts. That's the clutter. And so what we do is we take the ones that are in 6 and we prioritize those in 1 through 5. So it could be an income producing account. Okay, we'll put that old 401k into that account, or a tax advantage long-term growth account. Or if it's old Roth accounts, we're going to put into a legacy or secondary account, because you want those to be something happens to you, et cetera, that passes over to your beneficiaries tax-free, those kinds of things. That's what that account is. So that's what we try to do when we look at this hierarchy. Really the hierarchy of needs.
Right.
Maslow's hierarchy. That's where I kind of got the concept from. But we adjust your portfolio to fit in one of these 5 buckets. And if you really sanitize it down even more, that goes back to your liquidity, it goes back to your investment or income, and goes back to your long-term growth.
Right. Now, you're going to do all this for us, so we don't have to do it. But you'll work on it together, right, with the incoming client.
That's correct.
But then hopefully you'll set an alarm on your calendar. We'll go over it with you when the time comes, right?
Yeah. So when we break it down into these kind of buckets, or this prioritized list.
Yeah.
We also help with what I call a decision framework. So we do typically 2 full reviews a year, every 6 months. But decisions should be made probably once a quarter for the client. And so because we're not going to talk to you every quarter, we give you that decision framework to actually utilize these accounts, understand what's going on in the accounts, et cetera. And then you can make a informed decision versus those individuals making, 20 to 30 decisions a year, and that's hidden fatigue. You don't have to do that. When we're finished with our review, give you the framework, give you the 1-page roadmap. You understand exactly where your accounts are at and how to make decisions throughout the year 4 times to be strategic and keep your accounts in the right spot.
Fine. Good. 4 times a year sounds good to me. 888-548-0409. 888-548-0409. Call Todd Long. Get on his schedule. You could also access his calendar by using this, financialfasttrackradio.com, and send him an email through that page. Or again, it's 888-548-0409. Now, just imagine the relief and the elimination of financial fatigue and holding energy for all these little accounts everywhere on the globe that you've started and tried to finish and all that stuff. So what a relief it's going to be by reducing the complexity of all the accounts too, right? So, what am I reaching for here? Creating a paycheck with it?
Yeah. So
with all the accounts?
Yeah, exactly. That I wouldn't say the whole goal is actually, getting that one paycheck, but it's almost there. One of the most powerful steps, towards simplicity is actually turning retirement into what feels like one single predictable paycheck.
Yeah.
Retirees often have income coming from several different sources. There's Social Security, there's pensions, IRAs, Roths, annuities, brokerage accounts, and the result is income that feels scattered, unpredictable, and difficult to technically manage consistently. So the solution is actually to centralize the income flow. We actually create a retirement income hub where all income, that's withdrawals, systematic payments, RMDs, and guaranteed income, funnel into one distribution strategy. This gives retirees consistency, clarity, and control, and as well as confidence. And many tell me that they sleep better simply because income becomes more predictable instead of unpredictable, or, whoa, I got some money coming into my account. I don't know where it came from. Why did it get here, et cetera. All that kind of conceptual type stuff that eliminates that. And they have much more peace of mind, actually.
Absolutely. Now, Todd, this is a difference between what you just said and predictable income, right, coming into your account. And framing it that way, that's kind of a psychology of money thing, isn't it? As opposed to when you hear somebody talking like, from a deprivation viewpoint, I'm on a fixed income.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is a fixed income with predictability.
That's correct.
Okay.
And I think the other piece of that puzzle is because I'm on a fixed income, to be honest.
Right, so am I.
Everybody's on a fixed income. It's all relative.
But you know what I mean. You know that sound in their voice, right?
Right, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about. And honestly, it's what I do is I do put people in a fixed income type scenario.
Right.
But it's consistent, predictable, just like what you said, fixed income. But the income also is determined based on what your expenses are, what your goals are. We've talked about this in the show. Do you want to travel? What kind of hobbies you want, et cetera? All that goes into building out this structure, building out this fixed income, come from all these different accounts.
Buckets are a fun analogy, or corners of the garage, if we must, or parts of the closet. So let's talk a little bit about that, Todd. If you could put it into some bucket framework for me, kind of sum this up in a way.
Yeah. So one of the big things about when I talk to folks they're overwhelmed trying to manage too many holdings across too many accounts. And so what we do is we replace all that chaos with 3-bucket simplicity framework.
Okay, three buckets. All right.
Yeah, 3 buckets. They're short term. That's safe, liquid, predictable cash for 1 to 3 years worth of expenses. That's the midterm bucket, which is risk managed investments to replenish that short term bucket. And then there's the long term bucket, which is growth investments to actually fight inflation for decades. When I say decades, we're talking about 20 to 30 years. So if somebody retires at 62, then we're going to frame up a long term bucket. And guess what? That bucket's supposed to last for 30 years. It's 92 years old. And typically what happens is that this is kind of a waterfall effect. Short term gets replenished by the midterm.
Oh.
The midterm gets replenished by the long term.
Get your waterfall information from Todd.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of some of this clutter and make it into something beautiful for your retirement. 888-548-0409. 888-548-0409.
Is your retirement plan starting to feel generic? You're unique. Your retirement strategy should be too. At Long Financial Services, Todd Long customizes each plan specifically around you, your life, and your goals. For a personalized review of your retirement, call 888-548-0409. Proudly serving Oklahoma. Again, that's 888-548-0409.
So we've been talking about the automated approach to getting rid of your clutter to do with your financial life. I guess I'm learning about how to get rid of clutter in my regular life in addition to financial life on the show here today, Todd. Financial Fast Track with Todd Long. We can fast track these ideas for you. And the automated approach that you talked about on the last segment, I would assume this removes a lot of emotional guesswork for your client.
It does, and decision fatigue. I think
Decision fatigue, very good.
Yeah, decision fatigue is a big one because you have to constantly make decisions about a lot of different things. For instance, rebalancing, when to rebalance, or how to rebalance. So what is rebalance? Changing allocations. So how do I do it? Do I need to get this login, that login? What do I talk to? Do I talk to this person, that person? If you have all these different accounts, do I allocate or change allocations on all of them? How do I move money around? How do I adjust my risk? Automation removes that guesswork. We automate rebalancing, income transfers, tax withholdings, RMD contributions, bucket replenishment, annual Roth conversion timing. All that can be automated, so you can take your mind and worry about your how you're going to garden, your pickleball, or whatever it is you're playing. You start to think about that stuff versus, man, I got to sit at my desk while I'm retired and pull out my statements and go do all my login gymnastics. I'm gonna call it that.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna call it the login gymnastics for all my different accounts because I got 12 of them. Well, consolidate it, get it down to 1 or 2, 3 or 4, depending on what situation is. Do some automation, and you can go out and play pickleball instead.
Yahoo, or whatever it is. Spend time with the grandkids, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Here's Todd's number, 888-548-0409. 888-548-0409. I would hate to have my morning mental gymnastics include sitting down to a computer screen to watch all the account balances going up or watch that ticker tape of the S&P 500 going across the screen. No thanks.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, as a matter of fact, even after decluttering accounts, retirees still struggle with, scattered data, doing that mental gymnastics, sitting down, having coffee, going to different accounts, et cetera. The paper statements, the logins, the custodial portals. Consolidated reporting gives a unified dashboard showing income, performance, tax impact, risk exposure, and purpose. I had a client tell me, we finally understand what we have. That period, full stop. I'm like, that's good. I appreciate that. And that's what clarity can change. How clarity technically can change your out view or your outlook, I should say, on your retirement plan. Just gives you visibility and understanding about what you got going on.
Good. I can just tell you that because that seems like people stress over that in retirement, especially guys who want to play the market a little bit, play the ponies, whatever. Right?
Just brings up a point that when I talked to a gentleman yesterday, He does have an account that's in an investment account. I think I'm gonna call it $50,000, $100,000, et cetera. And I asked him, I said, "What's the purpose of that account?" And he's like, "Well, if I hear something about some stocks, then I want to have some money to go buy that stock." Perfect. You know what? We're gonna leave that alone. That's what you want to do. No problem, and that's cool. But understand that all the other stuff you have in the market can't be the same. We have to move that money around to make sure it actually is protected and preserved while you still have some fun money in the market to play with.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the wives get a little bit nervous about the fun money. That
They can, yes.
It's like, how much do you have in that account?
Right.
So, but if that's what they've decided and that's their risk tolerance, right? They both can tolerate it, or he can tolerate it, or whatever.
Right.
Then why not? Sure, go play.
I mean, have it there. I mean, if you heard something about Apple or Nvidia or whatever,
Yes.
and you want to go buy some stock on it, you have the money to go do it. Great. If you want to try to play, the points and pips and stuff like that, great. You have some money to go do that. I mean, that's
Right.
all. Honestly, for me, I think I'll probably do that myself because it keeps me mentally going. You said mental gymnastics.
Yes.
You got to have something like that. Mm-hmm. It's important.
I agree. I agree. Day trader. One of my friends who's older than I am. He's in his 70s. He was my boss a long time ago, and he considers himself a day trader because he goes online every day. He's got all the screens and the ticker tape and all that stuff. Not that he has too much money in the account, but to me, this is anxiety. Producing.
You're right. So for you, your mental gymnastics may be something completely different. But for folks who actually have money in the market and it's like when I go to Vegas, I don't gamble. So when I go to Vegas, probably bring $100 and I will have my $100 in 20s walking around. I'm like, well, do I want to spend this $20 or $100? Probably not. I may sit down at one table and do something and I lose and I'm like, I'm good. Right.
Get it.
You're right.
Too.
But that $100 is my limit. Mm-hmm. I'm going to risk that. And whoever it is who, has money in the market, it should be a small portion of their thing that they want to go play with and do some mental gymnastics. They can. If you have that money, it's safe. They'll go do it.
In the 90s, Todd, I lived in Las Vegas and worked in radio there. It was so much fun. It was just kind of different. It wasn't as, bright as it is now. Mm-hmm. But anyways, friends would always come visit you and you live in Vegas and you got a guest room, come on. And so they would, we'd be going around the casino, having drinks and dinners and all these things. And if they were winning, they'd flip me some money. Here, Jackie, go play this table, or do you want to play roulette? And I just pocket the money and go get a new bikini or something because all these places had great bathing suit shops in the basement. No, thanks. It's just too money. I don't know. I just don't like losing it.
No, I don't like giving it to a casino.
Yeah.
I'll give it to other, actually to nice food spots. My Vegas is going to be distillery tours. I'll spend money for that. That's for sure.
Sure. All right. We are talking to Todd Long of Long Financial Services about decluttering your financial life. His number is 888-548-0409, 888-548-0409. So if you'd like to speak to him and get involved in a conversation to get your financial life decluttered, my golly, this is a perfect time of the year to do that. I want to jump to the point of taxes, if we could. So is any of this, what strategies do you have that can organize our tax mind and organize our tax problem for retirement money? Like you said, the RMDs earlier in this discussion, all can come due on some of these ghost accounts at the same time. What can we do to prevent that? What can we do to preempt this?
Right. So the biggest thing is visibility. So I show retirees something called a tax map.
Okay.
It's a retirement tax map is what it's called, but it organizes every dollar into one of three tax categories. There's tax deferred, and that's your traditional IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, 457s, et cetera.
Okay.
Tax free, which is Roth IRAs, Roth conversions, certain municipal income, life insurance, cash values, et cetera. And then there's taxable, which is the brokerage accounts, interest, dividends, capital gains, those kinds of things. Most retirees unknowingly concentrate wealth into tax deferred accounts, thinking, and that's by design, based on how the media tells people to save, right? Put money into a 401k as soon as possible, which is true for a certain degree, but you have to start to, when I say diversify, I don't mean diversify within 401k.
Right.
Diversify all of your assets. Don't have everything in a 401k. Have some stuff in the Roth, right? Those kinds of things. But again, most retirees, they unknowingly concentrate all that money into that 401k or tax deferred accounts, which hold the greater future tax risk. You just mentioned RMDs. If they have all their money in those kinds of accounts, thinking they're great or in a good situation, by the time 73 hits around, now have $1.5 million I got to deal with, because guess what? The government wants their money. They're going to knock on the door. They're going to take that cash.
Yeah.
Are you prepared for it? Probably not. So that's why we try to give this snapshot, this roadmap up front, so we can start to make some decisions now versus wait until you're 73 years old.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it could be a tax torpedo. Is that what you? Is that one of your phraseologies?
That is a tax torpedo. Yeah, it can. It's a tax torpedo, but actually consider a torpedo because it'll hit a hull, and all this water is going to start to gush in. Right. Consider this: your tax torpedo is, I get an RMD statement. I'm not prepared for it. My income goes up. I have tax creep that goes up. So therefore you got to pay more in taxes, and your Medicare increases, or you have to earn surcharges. Now that increases. And so all those, because obviously your Social Security is still coming in at that point. So all these different things are happening if you don't plan for it. That's what the tax torpedo does. It just, you hit it, and all of a sudden all kinds of negative things starts to happen.
Mm-hmm. Is this a point? I mean, is this the torpedo happens because of lack of pre-planning?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're prepared for RMDs and you utilize a window which is typically 62 to roughly 73, that window of opportunity where you're not working, you're retired, and you have. Let's say you're not taking Social Security yet, take it at 67, take it at 65, and you're 62. You can actually, at this point in time, move money from a qualified account into a Roth account, Roth conversions. We've talked about it on the show a couple of times.
Yes.
That helps reduce that tax torpedo. So consider, I don't know bullet gauges and whatnot, whatever, but I'll use this as an analogy since we're in Oklahoma. There's a 45 caliber bullet.
Yes.
That'll hurt. Right? Mm-hmm. A BB is not going to hurt that much. It'll sting, but it's not going to hurt that much. Right? So if you don't adjust this money that's in a qualified account or, taxable account, not tax deferred account, 401ks, 403bs, et cetera, you got to reduce that down to where it goes from a 45 caliber bullet down to a BB.
Okay.
I'd much prefer to have the BB coming at 73 years old, because the RMDs are going to hit you, right? Regardless, they're going to hit you.
Okay.
Unless you get all that money out of qualified accounts. So reduce it down from a big, huge torpedo down to a BB, and you're good to go.
That sounds more reasonable to me. Of course, I'm so conservative with my money, I don't want to even be hit by the BB.
Right. Exactly. Think about that. So if you're listening right now and don't want to get hit by a BB, you don't have a tax strategy, you're worried about 2026 or 2027, you want a simpler way to understand your finances or your retirement plan, this review is exactly for you. For the first 10 callers, we're going to build your personalized retirement tax map, identify hidden tax risks, simplify your income and withdrawal plan, evaluate Roth conversion opportunities, reduce future RMD pressure, create a clear, tax-smart strategy for 2026 and beyond. Jackie, tell the listeners how to get one of these spots.
Grab that spot with Todd, 888-548-0409. Claim the offer. Just sit down. No cost, no obligation. Let's get your stuff together for 2026, 2027. 888-548-0409, because we all have to retire. 888-548-0409.
Investment advisory services offered through Todd Long, a registered investment advisor. During this show, Todd Long provides general information, not individually targeted personalized advice, and is not liable for the usage of information discussed. Exposure to ideas and products or services should not be considered investment advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any of these financial vehicles. This information should also not be considered tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a professional specializing in the fields of tax, legal, accounting, or investments regarding the applicability of this information for their situation. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments will fluctuate, and when redeemed, may be worth more or less than when originally invested. adopted. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not in any way refer to securities or investment advisory services. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and are offered through Todd Long. By contacting Todd Long, you may be provided information regarding the purchase of insurance products.